Welcome back to Straight Facts. New intro as well. Husam, you happy now with how much you feature?
Yes, big up KJ, one of the headliners, rightfully so. Finally, KJ. I'm KJ in now. A flip-flop, just like the Man United fans. Anyway, big up to you guys. Big up to Straight Facts audience. Everyone hit the like button. Everyone subscribe, share the video everywhere. And we're here. And I can't wait because this episode's going to be a banger. I can tell already.
Yeah, I think it will be. There's a lot to talk about. There's a lot to go through. There's a lot that has happened in the last, since Christmas Day, basically. Since Christmas Day, there's been a lot of football. There's been a lot of wins. There's been a lot of defeats. There's been a lot of shocks. And I actually wanted to start with Man United, actually. A tough game this weekend against Nottingham Forest, but a really good comeback against Aston Villa, who have beaten some big teams this year, dominated some big teams. Do you think Man United fans have a right to feel proud of that performance, optimistic maybe of a resurgence, or do you think it's just one good 45 minutes? Don't get your hopes up. What are you saying, bro?
You know, the game that happened is exactly why Man United fans are pissed off at Ten Hag, and rightfully so. Because had Man United won just 2 or 3 more games out of their idiotic losses that they had, they would have been 4th comfortably right now. Thing is, I think Man United have manufactured a lot of their own downfall. Like the Champions League, many people agree that probably Onana is probably one of the biggest culprits, if not the biggest culprit of them exiting that group stage. And once again, the same stuff that I spoke about on the Straight Facts last week, I spoke about the midfield balance. Eriksen, Mainu, Bruno. It's never about dropping Bruno. It's never about dropping McTominay. It's about getting a balance in the team. And that team is just a lot more balanced. Dropping Anthony, who's continuously stinking up the pitch. And now you bring in Garnacho and you give Højlund a chance and you don't substitute him 50 minutes in. This is what you get. Erik Ten Hag this season has made 4, 5, 6 mistakes on a consistent basis that have cost Man United multiple points. And now we're watching it happen with the Villa game. And you know, the biggest culprit of the Villa game, despite Garnacho's brilliance, Højlund scoring that amazing goal, Bruno being so creative in that game, the biggest culprit of that loss is Unai Emery. And it's funny because Lee Gunner 2 days before the game spent the whole Straight Facts just doing Unai Emery props, you know, if you would like. And then he goes and he does that. And once I always tell people, because here's the thing, I don't want to start a whole monologue about Unai Emery, but I will be saying this because this is something that I've been consistent on from a while. This is exactly why Unai Emery is not the 3rd best manager in the league. Stuff like this is exactly why. Managing a club like an Aston Villa or managing a club like a Brentford is completely different to managing a football club like Man United, Arsenal, etc. And you could tell already on Unai Emery's track record. He failed at Arsenal and he failed at PSG. He's very good at Sevilla. He's very good at Villarreal. Why? Because imagine the roles were reversed. Imagine Unai Emery was Man United manager and he was 2-0 up against Aston Villa and he decided to play that deathly high line that cost you the goals. It would have been 10 questions in the press conference. It would have been headline news. Unai Emery cost Man United the 3 points. So it's a completely different challenge, kind of having that whole scenario. And my thing is, I always say, I don't care about, I'm not saying you should abandon your principles, but when it's 2-2, as an example, okay, you've bottled it, you were 2-0 up, now it's 2-2. At least leave Old Trafford with a point. No one's telling you to play a low block. Just go like Carlos Consa, drop down 10 yards. That's it. That's all he had to do. Just go a bit 10 yards deeper, and he would have had at least he would have left Old Trafford with a point. But Man United deserve credit for that comeback. Coming back from 2-0 down in the Premier League is not something that happens often. I think Højlund as well, scoring a goal should be massive for his confidence. The only difficulty for Man United is their next game is against the manager who just went to Newcastle away and won 3-1 and has a whole resurgence with Forest. That's the difficult challenge. But I think Ratcliffe is probably just going to give Ten Hag enough time to just sack himself, to be honest with
you. Do you know what's interesting? I said this, we recorded the episode 8 of the squad for Rumble today, and I said it on there and I'll stand by it. If Man United played with the same tempo and same intensity in our 18 other Premier League games this season, genuinely I believe we'd have at least an extra 10 points. easily. And the irony in that is an extra 10 points would put us on 41 points, which puts us in a title race. Mathematically, still don't think we're good enough to win. And I say that because far too often do I see football fans talk about tactics, systems, ability. And what I mean by that is all those things are important, but they ignore the fact that without hard work, without high tempo, none of the ability, none of the systems, none of the tactics will ever come to fruition on a consistent basis. The reason why Klopp's Liverpool team have been successful, the bedrock is hard work. Pep's teams, the bedrock is hard work. Of course, then the talent and the systems shine through because it's better than everybody else's. But you'll never get your talent to shine through if they don't work hard. And it impressed me that they worked hard. But at the same time, you said right at the start, this is why people are angry. There is a part of me a day or two later when the euphoria goes away that thinks, how on God's green earth have you not pressed or run and got back into shape or continue to work hard at trying to score in other games where we've struggled? Because I think about when Palace at home beat us as an example, and some people say 10 points is ridiculous. If you actually go through it and you actually look at Man United's Premier League games, I'm going to go back and look at these now and just highlight them. I think to myself, Tottenham away, stop working. Could have got a point maybe. We then, the Arsenal game, fair enough. 3-1 at home to Brighton. We had ample chances, but just as soon as we conceded one goal, we fell away and we stopped trying. There's the Palace one that I've already mentioned that I think we were poor in. I look at Newcastle away. Newcastle haven't been very good, but we just let them boss us and run all over us. We really put no effort into that football match as an example. You've got the Bournemouth 3-0. As good as Bournemouth have been, we were just lackluster in that match. Even Liverpool away, if we had a bit more perseverance and a bit more togetherness and we worked that little bit harder, that could have been a bit different as well. And West Ham away. I know West Ham are a decent team, but I watched us and I just didn't see any urgency, that we didn't move the ball quickly, we weren't getting back into shape. I truly believe we could be looking at anywhere between 5 to 10 additional points this season if we just work that little bit harder. So that element I was proud of. I also think you're right. The Unai Emery situation, I think he's a good manager. But it's funny, isn't it, how as soon as he publicly, via one of his players, states they're in a title race, as soon as the media says they're in a title race, what is the first thing that happens? They fail to win the next two games, one against Sheffield United, who almost beat them, and then Man United, who are absolutely on our knees. Unai Emery, I think he's very good when he's an underdog. I think Unai Emery is a good cup manager. There's no doubt, a very good cup manager. But I do not believe that man is cut from the right cloth to win a league the size of the Prem or a league like La Liga. Of course, I think any decent manager can win the French league with PSG. He'd probably win the Bundesliga with Bayern Munich, but so most decent managers do. But actually come into a Premier League, go into a La Liga, if he doesn't have the best team in that league, in my opinion, there's no way he's able to do it. Now, no one was seriously looking at them as title contenders, but I do think it shows his underbelly as a manager. So all the gooners saying we should have kept him. No, you should have sacked him. That doesn't mean Arteta's the right guy either, but this revisionism of we should have kept him is crazy because he isn't good.
And the same bottle job stuff that season, people forget. They were clear as fourth in the league, and they fucked up like 5, 6, 7 games to end up bottling it, and they lost the final in Baku. That's why I'm saying the revisionism over Unai Emery is crazy. This is my problem. Every single, and this is not a new thing because football fans are fickle. We keep repeating the same mistakes. I warned people pre-game, told people, Aston Villa are not in a title race. Aston Villa won't be there come May time. You know why? Because we have multiple evidence from the past. We've seen it with Leicester under Brendan Rodgers. Growing up, we've seen it, me and you, with Everton multiple times under David Moyes. Oh, Everton this season, they could be in there, you know, and then they just end up falling off come February. Like that, how many times has this happened before? There was a year, no exaggeration, where Hull City, I swear it was like November, October, and they were top of the league by like 5-6 points as well. They went to the Emirates, they got a 1-1 draw. Hull City's the Nielsen equalized, I think, that game. So when you're looking at the current situation with the managers in the Premier League, Unai Emery would not survive the pressure of Man United. He already didn't survive the pressure of Arsenal. He wouldn't survive the pressure of Chelsea or any of these clubs. I think the third best manager in the league is either Arteta or Pochettino, because they've shown that they can handle a bigger club. And that's just the ultimate reality. Apologies to all the Unai Emery sexuals, all the people who love Unai Emery. But the matter of the fact is, winning trophies at Sevilla and Villarreal and stuff, impressive, and it puts your CV up there. But I'll put it this way. If tomorrow I become Brentford owner, Unai Emery is my guy. If tomorrow I become Liverpool owner, Unai Emery is not touching my football club.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. And to your point here, Twisted, he says revisionism, 10 extra Man United points, Terry, you're funny. That's not revisionism. That's talking about if we would have applied ourselves in the same way. When it comes to Unai Emery, Arsenal fans thinking actually he was that guy, there's no evidence of it. As an example, there is evidence, in my opinion, that when Man United work hard and run, they generate better performances and wins. So they're not the same thing at all. But again, good try, Twisted. You try most shows to catch me out. That was a good attempt, but no cigar there. How do you think United will do against Forest, though? How do you see that game go? Most people I speak to are predicting a Nottingham Forest win.
Yes, and you understand why. Nuno Santo has given Forest a massive resurgence. And I look at Man United, and low-key, this is just been a representative of their season. Draw away at Liverpool and then lose away to West Ham. Beat Villa at home, who are considerably more difficult. And it's just like basically just finishing the cycle, you know? It's like, you know, no one predicts you to win, you win. When everyone predicts you to win, you lose type thing. So I wouldn't be shocked whatsoever if Forest get a victory. And I think they're, in my opinion, probably more likely to get a victory tomorrow, given the way you've been playing. Unless they do play with the same heart and passion and desire that they played with in the last 30-something minutes in that Villa game. You know, maybe it's a possibility that Man United do turn up, but it's on Ten Hag, and for him to keep the right balance in the team, make the right substitutions, you know, put his players in a position to succeed. But for me, I'm leaning more towards a Forest win. I really am.
And I understand that. The irony is they actually had quite a good home record last year, or they played well at home, didn't always win. It was probably one of our best away performances last year was against them. Even though they scored 2 early goals this season, different manager, of course, we dominated the proceedings, came back to win 3-2. I think Man United will win this game. I'm not saying it'll be a drumming. I think it's going to be a narrow scoreline, which I'll be revealing later on Golden Goals on the Top 6 show. But I'm going to go with Man United to win this game. And the reason I say that is because most people expect us to lose it. Everyone that's done their Top 6, their Golden Goals predictions that they've sent in so far, all predicted a Man United defeat. So I'm just going to go with the opposite of what people are saying because they're not so objective. But viewers, let us know what you think. Will Man United win again or will they lose? Let us know in the comment section below. Now, last night I had some interesting games. The first one I want to talk about is Tottenham. Tottenham last night. Smash for 4 by Brighton. Smash for 4 by Brighton, or as everyone's calling them today, Brighton Munich, which I think is quite funny. Give me your thoughts on that Spurs performance last night. He's taking a drink first.
Yeah, of course. This is the representative of Tottenham Hotspur here, right here. Spurs, you know, I told people about Spurs, nothing new. I was there in the middle of all the age. By the way, it's funny how the Spurs match reaction that Terry now does has less and less and less Spurs fans every time. I still remember earlier on in the season when they were winning, there was 15 Spurs fans. It's crazy. Now that they're losing, 5 or 6 of them have disappeared. I feel bad for the guy in the glasses who said they're going to win the league. I have no idea what he was smoking. Probably Class A drugs. But this is who Spurs are at this point. It's not going to change until they have a massive culture change. You know, Pochettino made Tottenham Hotspur a club that's relevant, that we speak about in these videos. Because growing up, like, no one knew Spurs, to be honest with you. But anyway, here we are now. They lost to Brighton. Brighton ain't won a game in 3 months. They've won 1 game in 3 months in the Premier League, and they were 4-0 up against Tottenham Hotspur, which is absolutely embarrassing. And when I'm looking at Tottenham, I think If they manage to somehow bottle top four, given the start that they had at the start of the season, then massive questions need to be asked of that club's mentality. Because if Conte couldn't change it, Mourinho couldn't change it, and Ange couldn't change it, then oh my days. And the problem is, I've had the pleasure of meeting multiple delusional Spurs fans over the last 3-4 months, who tell you Pedro Porro is the best right back and Vicario is the best goalkeeper and blah, 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 blah. And here we are, when they don't deliver, it's all Eric Dyer's fault. It's all blah, blah, blah's fault. So, I'm so happy I was one of the people who said Rice over Bissouma. I'm so happy I was one of those guys. I'm so happy I was, anti-Spurs from the beginning. And it's now I've been proven right. Rightfully so. Spurs are crap. That's basically what I'll say on that club right there.
Spurs are crap. Look, it was an interesting one last night. One of the Spurs fans we had in our match reaction, Will, said, essentially, last night only happened because Romero was missing. The underlying stats, the underlying numbers, the system, the process is all fine. It's just personnel. Do you agree with that? Was it just a case of Spurs didn't have the personnel to win?
No, because Will is one of them delusional ones that I met over the last 4 months. Big up, Will. He has a very nice setup. I always say he has the best setup on YouTube, in my opinion, but he's very delusional, very emotional when it comes to his football club. And even if Romero had played, Romero is the most overrated centre-back in the entirety of the Premier League. In order for you to be good, you need to be rated to begin with. Romero is by far the most overrated centre-back in this entire Premier League. Romero is not better than Konate. Romero is not better than Virgil van Dijk or Saliba. Romero does not start for Arsenal or Liverpool or Man City or any of the top clubs. Romero is the biggest overhyped thing I've ever seen in this league for a really long time. He's crap. He's so overrated and he's very rash. He goes into tackles. He can't control himself. He's not that smart defensively. One thing I will give him is he's good in the air. He has some fights, but he has some fight, to be honest with you. But other than that, I don't see anything special with Romero. And I think, for all people saying he's a World Cup winner, well, you think that's a response? Montiel is a World Cup winner. I promise you, none of you are taking him at right back or left back for your club. So, yeah. Anyway, that's the Spurs. We're giving Spurs too much airtime. That's 2 minutes too much for Spurs. They're fucking crap anyway. They're the only reason why I have an L next to my name, because they robbed me, fucking thieves.
Yeah, look,
anyway.
This year from Cal says, how do you say no to the personnel when we had 4 fullbacks in defence?
Brighton, have you seen Brighton's injuries? Was that Brighton's starting 11? Or does injuries only work when it's in your favor? Because we want to ask questions. And you know why me specifically you cannot claim this against? Because I was saying this about Spurs when they had a full team. Crystal Palace away, you had 1 shot on target, you scored twice, you won 2-1. You understand? So it has nothing to do with just personnel, full stop. No. It's not just personnel. It's philosophy. It's mentality. It's a lot of things. And by the way, Brighton are missing players too. You look at the injury list for Brighton. Let me just say it quickly, because I checked this yesterday, because I knew someone was going to bring up this injury thing. They always love to do this. Brighton, I think, have 7 injuries, if I am not mistaken. They beat Brighton, just beat. Okay, Brighton beat Spurs, right? So they're going to have the list of injuries there for 2 Spurs. Let me check quickly. And here we are. So next to lineups, who's injured? The injuries for Brighton are Lamptey, Webster, Enciso, Veltman, Ansu Fati, Mitoma, Adingra, Solimarch. So injuries only work when it's in Spurs' favor. So you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 injuries for Brighton. Webster, considerably important defender. Enciso, considerably important. Fati, Mitoma, who's their best player. Adingra, who's been one of their better wingers this whole season. And Solimarch, who's been one of their best players this whole year. All out. They had James Milner starting. Okay, James Milner, Igor playing left back. You get me? Yeah, what more? There's a new guy, Hinchelwood, played yesterday. Do you ever hear of him before the game? So don't make excuses. Don't make excuses talking about, we had 4 fullbacks and it's just personnel. Rubbish. Because if Brighton had their full team, they win 7-0 yesterday. So where do we go from here?
Starlord here says, so when United had 13 first-team players out all of the time, it doesn't count. But now everyone else is getting injured. Players out counts. There is an element of truth that Man United, I think, on average 9 first-team players out for every single Premier League game this season, and still have at least half of our core missing in Casemiro and Lisandro Martinez. And the way we've played, it stages in the last few games with the way we've set up, we do a lot better with them. But yeah, listen, I hear you. I think the injuries do play a part. I think it's wrong to say they don't. And this isn't a dig at Cal, because Cal hasn't done this, because I think he's spoken about Brighton's injuries also being a concern. Where it frustrates me is I see people in the comments, especially when we'll say, maybe a Spurs fan will say, oh, we've got so many injuries. And they'll say, no excuse. And they might be a Newcastle fan. And then Newcastle have injuries and they get knocked out of the Champions League. And they say, yeah, but we've got injuries. Injuries either impact how good your team can be or they don't. You can't pretend they hurt your club. You can't say they hurt your club and then pretend it isn't an issue for Man United or for Tottenham or for Brighton. But I think the more you have and the smaller your club is, the less money you have, the smaller your squad is, the lack of quality in your squad. If, for instance, City have 6 first-team players out, I think that impacts them less than Luton having 6 first-team players out, because the overarching quality drops even more for a number of factors as a general rule. So you have
okay,
to.
But then using that logic, shouldn't Brighton feel more hard done by for having the injuries then? Because Brighton are a considerably smaller club than Spurs, and I just named you 8 players who are out for Brighton, who are all integral and important pieces in their team. So why should I? So I should sit up here and I should go, oh, Spurs would the one have they had Romero. Okay, so what would have happened if Brighton had Mitoma or they had Adingra, both scored at Old Trafford, or they had Adam Webster at the back, or they had Enciso to bring off the bench? Instead, they had James Milner and Buonanotte playing in midfield, and they ended up winning they were 4-0 up. They were 4-0 up 70 minutes in. So this is the thing, like,
no, mate, I agree. Me and Twisted Bubba agree here. Injuries are a quantifiable reason. I wouldn't necessarily use the word failure, but they are a reason sometimes why you lose. But you have to take it into consideration. For instance, if Man United have got 8 players out and we play Villa and they have 8 players out, then it's no excuse for that individual game, because both teams are in a similar situation. If Man United have 8 of their first-team players out and we play Man City that have no injuries or just 1 injury, then of course it gives them, they've already got an advantage because they're better. It gives them an even bigger advantage. So I think you have to take it by a case-by-case situation, really. I think that's what you have to do. But Spurs, they've got Bournemouth at home, who have been in great form recently. Well, what did you see the score being in that game, bro?
Bournemouth are winning the game. Bournemouth have been the most informed team in the league. They've been one of the more difficult teams to play. Bournemouth are winning. Spurs lose another game, but they got their Spurs back. Ainge has them passing 3 passes in a row, so everyone's excited and shit. But yeah, I think Bournemouth are winning that game, and Spurs are gonna lose yet another game. Massive credit to Iraola. I think that's his name. That's his name. The Bournemouth manager, who actually came in after Gary O'Neill and is doing a fantastic job. According to the form table, they're actually the most informed team in the whole league, Bournemouth. And Bournemouth was one of the people who many people had, going down this season. So I think Bournemouth beats Spurs this Sunday. I think the game is, or Saturday. Is it tomorrow?
Sunday. No, they play Sunday. They play on Sunday at 2 p.m. The other North London game last night, Arsenal beat 2-0 at home by West Ham United, who have been taking some scalps recently. It's almost like they're smashing to you guys has sent them into overdrive, but a really disappointing, really poor, really lackluster performance from Arsenal in every single which way.
Yes, Arsenal got hammered yesterday. Their forward line is not clinical enough at all for me. And I actually changed my mind after the Liverpool-Arsenal game. After the Liverpool-Arsenal game, I realized that City are winning the league unless Liverpool and Arsenal make signings in January. The reason is Arsenal don't have enough killers. Liverpool don't have enough killers. It's the same exact thing. And I'm looking at Bukayo Saka, who got criticism yesterday, and rightfully so. But I always say this. First of all, Martinelli has less goals than Mudryk this season. Like, if we're talking about getting trolled, and we're talking about trolling and mocking Mudryk, and we mock Chelsea every week on Straight Facts, Martinelli got less goals than Mudryk. Zinchenko is what people think Trent is when they keep saying can't defend week in, week out. Zinchenko is the definition of can't defend. Zinchenko was crap. Once again, that entire left-hand side, go look at Arteta's substitutions. That whole left side got substituted. Trossard, Martinelli, and Zinchenko. Dare I say it, Arsenal did miss Kai Havertz. They did. The player that was, on West Ham that I sat here all summer long and I said is going to make a massive impact to whoever signed him. And like Kudus, you get me? I'm looking at West Ham. Edson Alvarez was a player I really wanted as well. This is all stuff people can vouch for because they were here, straight facts, all summer long. West Ham done really well. And you know what's funny? I was outside yesterday and I got the notifications like, yo, Brighton are winning 3-0. And then I see West Ham like 1-0 up at the Emirates. I'm like, oh, you know what? They're gonna come back. They're gonna come back. Yeah. And then West Ham scored the second. And then I look at the thing as like 70th minute, 80th minute. It's still 2-0 to West Ham. I'm like, yo, what's happening? And then when I watch the full highlights, you can crystal clearly see the problem, and that's the forward line. And I'll be honest with you guys. All the Arteta outers, all the league gunners of the world, all the people who cannot stand Arteta will 100% be proven right if Arteta do not sign a forward this January transfer window. I have never seen a team scream out for something so badly right now because you need a forward. It's so crystal clear and obvious to see. And Saka can have a bad game every now and then. But when Saka has a bad game, who is stepping up? Is Jesus stepping up? No. Is Martinelli stepping up? No. Nketiah, Trossard this season even? No. All these players ain't stepping up. All these players ain't taking it to the next level. So Arsenal only have themselves to blame. I saw what you said regarding the whole refereeing thing. The report by the refereeing thing was apparently it's inconclusive evidence. I think, in my opinion, I saw it went out of play. But I think Lewis, I done a show with him and he said something is like, listen, the problem is Arsenal didn't do enough to win the game for us to qualify robbery. That's the problem. So had Arsenal peppered West Ham's goal, and that was the goal that separated it, I think they could say robbery. Same one against Newcastle. Newcastle, I said the same thing. I said they didn't play well, but they got robbed. But now the fact that West Ham scored again, Mavropanos just absolutely bodying Gabriel the way
if it wasn't for that penalty save, it wasn't for the penalty save at the end, it would have been a 3-0 home defeat as well, which would have rubbed salt into the wound. And look, I agree. For me, VAR got that wrong. However, that does not negate and does not dampen down the criticism that this team should face. And I've said this on a few streams now, and I mean it. They are both more talented than him. They both have more credit in the bank than him. But the way I watch Martinez and the way I watch Bukayo Saka play right now, they're playing like Anthony. They're playing like Anthony. They are not trying to beat a man on the outside, seldomly. Every time they generally speaking, get into a good position where they can cross the ball, cut it back, they take another touch, or they try and take somebody on again. The amount of times they're just cutting in onto their strongest foot and shooting at goal, when the shot half the time isn't even on, people are blocking it or it's going over. Now, as I've said, they've got more credit in the bank, and I think they're both better than Anthony, but they're playing like him. And I'm watching it thinking to myself, try something different. So part of that is on them being young and learning. The next element is looking at the manager. So I'm looking at the fact that Martinelli always cuts inside. No one, or not regularly enough, are we seeing an overlap? We're seeing a lot of inverting, but send someone on the outside to create a problem. That will stop two players doubling up on Martinelli. So some of this is the players being young and naive, struggling a little bit, working out how to get through a bad patch. The other part of this is the system. Everybody's systems get found out at some point. Teams work out a blueprint of stopping them. And at the moment, look, Saka's still got a decent amount of GA this season. There's no doubt because he's a top talent. But they're being stopped because people have worked a few things out. And Arteta has got to be the one to make those changes. But what I do find kind of funny with a lot of the Arteta outers is at the moment, some of their predictions are coming true. For instance, if we don't get a striker, we ain't winning this league. And I think they make a very, very important point, and we'll come on to that later. But equally, a lot of the players that they've always raved as being the best ballers, they're all scathing Odegaard last night. And I actually thought Odegaard had a good game. I thought he had so many good touches around the box, played people in the right places. Some of his final balls were pretty good. I thought overall he had a decent game.
Trossard was crap. He's one of the guys that the Arteta
But
Outters
yeah,
love.
exactly. Trossard's been as bad this whole season as Martinelli, in my opinion. Martinelli's actually the other one that they all absolutely loved. And for a long time, when he wasn't starting games a couple of years ago, they were using it as a tool to beat the manager with, as an example. So yes, that Zinchenko needs to be criticised defensively. That man has been caca all year. But there are certain players who are kind of getting attacked and slagged off. But actually, it's part of Baller FC that are also struggling. It's more than just one. And this is where Arsenal fans have got to try and come together as well, because their fans last night, I've got to say it, I think the Arsenal fans at the ground especially were a disgrace last night. Look, we're an absolute. Someone here says, "Allow it, Terry. The whole 11 was crap." That you're missing my point, bruv. You're not understanding what I'm saying.
Also, I hate whenever people do this, unless really the whole team was crap.
Yeah,
because yesterday the whole team wasn't crap. Odegaard wasn't crap.
No, yeah, but the point is, even if they were, but even if they were, that is,
wasn't crap.
Yeah, but even if they were, Husam, even if they were, that isn't the point I'm making. The point I'm making is, I keep hearing drop Martinelli, played Trossard. Trossard's got to play, and I'm sitting there because he's a baller, and I'm sitting there going, I've watched Trossard all year. I think Kai Havertz has been a better player for Arsenal this season than Trossard. But it's certain players get. We're talking about the outers here from it. Not all of them, just the ones that I've come across on Twitter, really. But yeah, you are right. I don't think there were very few Arsenal players that could leave with their head held high yesterday. I agree with that. But the fans, and I say it this way, I know there's this train of, I know that Real Madrid wave their white hankies, boo their players, smash their cars, go to their homes. I know they do it. If they have a bad 10 minutes, they do these things. But Arsenal, you're not Real Madrid. You have not won as much as them and been at the top for as long as them for you to behave in that way. They're in a unique position, which I don't think is even achievable for 99.9% of clubs. Last night, what those Arsenal players needed was Arsenal fans singing their names, cheering them on, and encouraging them. But instead, from the 55th minute, it was like a funeral, genuinely like a funeral. 10 minutes to go, multiple fans walking out, leaving the ground. And I sat there and thought to myself, this team, I know it's Christmas time. I know people want to avoid traffic. I get that. But this team needs your support. They don't need you walking out early. They don't need you going quiet. I get you're nervous because you want to win the league, but support your team. So I think there are multiple factors right now at Arsenal, system elements of the manager that have got to change. They've got to go into the transfer market and buy. And the fans need to relax a little bit. Genuinely relax a little bit and encourage their team a lot more than they are at that stadium, because you could cut the atmosphere with a knife due to the anxiety of the fans, and that isn't going to help your team win. Someone says Terry moving like he was there. Bruv, I have ears and I have eyes. You can see it. I can hear it. Because I actually watched the games on Amazon. I like the games because you can turn the commentary off and listen to the sound. I could hear it. So I don't need to be there. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, there are certain things going on around the world. You don't need to be there to see what's happening. You can just watch the footage, right? Do you know what I mean? Yeah. When there's a hurricane in America, that looks like strong wind. I don't need to be there to see it strong wind. I can see it lifting a fucking car in the air. I know it's a strong wind. But look, I think the fans have got to do a lot more to get behind this team as well, in my opinion. A big part of it, though.
Arteta, before we move on or segue to something else. With the Arteta situation, if Arteta does not win the league or the Champions League this season, what are we saying then? Because this is the $1 million question now. Because having spent the 700 million, having been given enough time, in my opinion, to have a process and a blah, 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 all these buzzwords, you know, it's time, in my opinion. It's time now this season for him to deliver. Now, I've spoken to certain Arsenal fans who are like, you know what? If we win the FA Cup and we finish like second or third and we're in the title race, I have no problem with that. But if we win no trophy, that's where I have a problem. Now, looking at what's happening, of course, in the Champions League, we need to wait and see which side they end up on, because it would be silly of me if City and Madrid are on one side and Arsenal on the other for me to not say, okay, they have a chance. Obviously, they'd have a chance, but it's unlikely, let's say, that they win the Champions League. The league, you've got City and Liverpool alongside them. If Arteta does not win the English Premier League this season, does he need to get sacked? because this is now what, like season 6 of Arteta, season 5, and he's still not delivering anything major. That's the problem. So where do you go from here then?
I said it. It's a great question. I said at the start of the campaign that Arsenal were in a win-win situation. So they may win the Premier League or Champions League with this manager, therefore win. I also think they've built a very good squad. There are still some holes and areas that need to be improved. Not saying it's the best squad ever. But if he fouls, they don't need a rebuild. They just need a better manager to come in, a couple more additions, and hopefully they go to the next level. So my view is that Arsenal, that's why when I speak about Arsenal, very rarely when I've done the whole Arsenal scary thing, I've never said Arteta's scary. I say Arsenal, because Arsenal have been moving like more like a big club. Now, if Arteta, as you say, finishes 1 point off of the champions and on 84 points, gets to a Champions League semi-final and narrowly gets knocked out, wins the FA Cup, and the football improves as well, then there is a strong argument to keep him. Contextually, there is. But as a general rule, if he fails to win a trophy this season, barring finishing the campaign on 94 points, one of the title contenders, I think Arsenal have to consider sacking him. Because look, they've got a great young squad. They've got some excellent players in there, the likes of Declan Rice. Yes, they need a more prolific number 9, there's no doubt. I still think they've got to improve the midfield, and they could do have at least one more centre-back to come in. But every single
They're playing
team...
us in the FA Cup January 4th. Soon.
Well, that's it. So that's
if Liverpool do beat Arsenal and they're knocked out of the FA Cup, realistically speaking, okay, look, let's just be real. Premier League, they have a chance, right? In my opinion, I don't think they win the Champions League. So, like Champions League, let's push that to the side. Premier League, so you're essentially putting all your eggs in that one specific basket, because it's a possibility Liverpool do win that game. That specific game, could Liverpool beat Arsenal in the FA Cup? Yes, they could. So if we do beat Arsenal and Arsenal get knocked out, then what? Would you just sack him mid-season?
So I wouldn't. Yeah, I don't think you could do that yet because he's in a title race. But context aside, because we know there are multiple. This is why it becomes hard to answer questions in 2023, because everybody takes what you say literally as opposed to understanding what you're implying. Context aside, if he doesn't win a trophy this year, Arteta should be sacked from his job, because I believe the club has built a very good squad. I still think it's a player or two away and a few years of development of young players away from being a world-class squad. And when I say world-class squad, a very good squad can win the Premier League or the Champions League. A world-class squad maintains those levels for 3, 4, 5, 6 years. And we don't know if that's possible yet. So if he does not win a trophy this year, context aside, he should be sacked. 4 years, by the end of the season, it'd be 4.5 years into the job, $750 million spent. I then think they have to look at alternative managers who can come in, take this squad and go, I don't need a rebuild. What I need to do is add 3 players, 4 players. By the way, like most managers do every year, and I think we can go and win the league. That's when you know your club, by the way, is in a great position. That's when you know your club's in a great position where...
by the way, Arteta, if he leaves tomorrow, he's left Arsenal in a much better position than when he first...
of course, yes. And
at the same time, it's the same question we asked about Chelsea last week. You need to put... This is us respecting Arsenal, because we cannot sit up here after 700 million and keep saying, give time. Time is money. Time is gold. Time is the essence. Deliver. And this is my problem with Arsenal. This season, if you win nothing... then all this, oh my God, process good times at the Emirates means fuck all if you win nothing.
Well, Twisted here says, Terry always forgets City exist. I haven't. So City exists, yes. And like I said, you forgot the word that came out of my mouth. Like I mean, take it literally. I said, putting context aside, I think there's an argument to keep him if City go on to win the Premier League. Say City win 15 of the next 19 games and win the league. I don't know how many points that would generate for. I'm going to make this number up because I can't do maths that quickly. Say they get 95 points, but Arsenal come second on 94. Then I would look at it and say, there's an argument to keep him because that's a high level of performance that could win you titles most years. But that's why I said context aside, because you could find multiple contextual reasons to keep him and multiple contextual reasons to get rid of him. But as a general rule, context aside, if he doesn't win a trophy, you have to then look as a club at the possibility of a better manager who can bridge that gap further. So it's not about, it's the opposite of forgetting about City or whoever the team that winning is. It's going, right, this team is really good. Can we make it even better? Until you're the best team in the world or one of the best teams consistently in the world, you should always be striving to become better. And even when you're at the top, you've always got to strive to maintain it. You know, if Pep suddenly starts to lose his way, I can guarantee you this now. If Pep starts going through multiple patches each season where he's only winning 1 in 6, say he does that 3 times a year, every year, City will get rid of him. City will move him on because he'll no longer be at the level that they want to be at. And by the way, if you're failing to win only win 1 out of 6 games 3 to 4 times a season, you ain't winning no Prems. Trust me, there's not.
Yeah,
enough
you're winning
points
3 in 18 games. Then that's the relegation form. That's Chelsea form.
Exactly. So it's about doing it right. So yeah, I think they do have to look at that. In terms of improving, though, how desperate do you think they are to go and sign Ivan Toney or somebody like him? And should that be their first point of business, January the 1st, which is only 3 days away? Should they be straight out there with a big to bring in a prolific number 9? What's your thoughts on that, mate?
You know, myself and the Arsenal fans have went on a roller coaster journey on the straight facts thing that I've been doing for a while now. They used to really hate me at the start when it was transfer season, and I was saying Liverpool are a lot more attractive than Arsenal. And then they liked me ever since I said Arsenal are winning the league. Ivan Toney and a forward is the one thing that they need the most in this team. Forget midfielder, forget centre back, forget anything else. You desperately need a forward or someone, by the way, not even necessarily a striker, a winger who could put the ball in the back of the net. Because when Saka does have his days off, which every footballer, by the way, is allowed to have days off, Messi doesn't play. Okay, that's the GOAT, actually. Let's look at more normal players. The greatest forwards of all time, Wayne Rooney had bad games. Robbie Fowler had bad games. Luis Suarez had bad games. Van Persie had bad games. Andy Cole, Alan Shearer, Aguero. Players have bad games, but there are players there to pull you through it when you need be. When you need it, to be honest with you. And the thing is with Martinelli, and the thing is with the others, they've been playing like shit. That's why Saka and Arsenal need some help in that forward line. And when you're looking at Ivan Toney, or you're looking at Osimhen, to be fair, those are 2 strikers right there that could 100% help elevate Arsenal, because there's a reason why Jesus was not the starting striker at Manchester City, even when they had no one. They had no one back then. And Pep Guardiola preferred playing Kevin De Bruyne a false 9 than playing Gabriel Jesus. That in itself is a sign. Why? Because Jesus has that lack of consistency in front of the goal, because if he was consistent in front of the he would literally be like a hack of a footballer had he had the Jogo Bonito side and could put the ball in the back of the net. So they definitely need a striker right now. And I'm looking at Arsenal and my club the same, to be honest with you. And if there is no transfer activity this January, might as well just give Manchester City the league, because it's just not, it's a sign of no seriousness. There's a rumor that Ivan Toney, you get me, also being looked at by Liverpool. If I'm Ivan Toney, I'm looking at that Caicedo thing, and I'm looking at players who have not went to Liverpool and regretted it for the rest of their life under Jurgen Klopp, to just go like, you know what? I'm going to make the right decision for my career. Jurgen Klopp, world-class players, more recent success, more likely to win a trophy this season. Ivan, make the right decision. Sign for Liverpool and let's go win this league. But it's obvious what Arsenal need, Terry. They just need someone to put the ball in the back of the net, because if it ain't Saka, it ain't anybody else. It's so obvious, to be honest.
Yeah, look, and I see a lot of the comments saying that they don't think they're going to sign anybody, and I understand that. I understand the skepticism. I understand the skepticism from Liverpool fans as well, because January, so both your clubs have rarely gone well. Have rarely gone well where you've gone and bought the right people. You know, it was the last real good guy you guys got in January. I want to say Luis Suarez, who was a lot. You know, oh, Van Dijk. Sorry, I forget about that one. Van Dijk. You know, that one definitely worked. Arsenal had Aubameyang, who I do think for a period of time was a success. There's no doubt about it. But Arsenal fans have to be demanding this now. And look, and I have to hold my hands up. I get some things right. I get some things wrong. Overall, where Arsenal sit in the league is about where I thought they would be. I predicted them coming second this year. They sit in second place, and I still think they'll come second, buying somebody or not. I still think they'll be in the title race. I did think by now Martinelli and Saka, with a combination of the manager's system, would have clicked into gear 19 games in and started to look far more like they did last season. I really believed that by now that would have happened. Luis Diaz was a decent signing as well, but he ain't right now, is he? I know he's had family problems, but let's not act like that's... I'm judging by Liverpool last 50, 60 years standard. Luis Diaz has been an okay signing. I wouldn't say he's been an astounding signing. If you're saying that Van Dijk's astounding, you can't say Luis Diaz is. They're not even in the same stratosphere.
In the last 10 years, that's Van Dijk and Suarez.
Yeah, they're the two that have been like, wow, what great signings. There's been some good ones, yeah. So they have to go. Arsenal fans have to demand this, because it's the one thing I disagree with when it comes to a lot of the outers and a lot of the skeptics of Arsenal is this idea that because they lost yesterday, that's it. The season's over. There's no way they're winning the league. There is a way they can win the league. Go out and spend some more money in January and buy a striker. And it doesn't even need to be Toney. It could be somebody else that can put the ball into the back of the net. It may be a name that right now we all go, because I've heard rumors of Solanke. Now, I think Solanke's in a good purple patch. I don't think he's that guy. But there are other players.
He's better than what Arsenal have, though.
This is true. He is better.
This is the problem.
He is true. So, yeah, look, from my point of view.
So you think if they sign Dominic Solanke and he even replicates half of what he's... Let's say he scores 8 Premier League goals from January till May. Is that not factually better than the players that they have right now? If he scores 8 Premier League goals from January till May, that is more than Martinelli, Jesus, and Nketiah combined, I believe.
Well, this is the interesting thing. If they bought Solanke now and he scored 8 goals, 10 goals, say, and then they got Victor Osimhen, which is the rumor in the summer, it's not bad business. The problem is, and I understand it, there is this desperation, and I get it. We all want to win now. But it's this case of, is Solanke enough to win the league? I don't know.
Will you get this chance again with Pep? This is the question I ask of my own club. I'm not changing the energy.
No, but I think you do.
Will you get this chance again? Do you think Pep
Yes, you will. You will. I'll tell you why you'll get this chance again. Because Liverpool have been in 3 title races with City and two title races with City and lost both, but beat them to a title. So essentially 3 times that Liverpool have been in contention for winning it, and they've won it once. Arsenal last year were in this position, and this year Arsenal and Liverpool both. So if you think of the 7 years that Pep's been here, in 5 of them, he's had teams pushing him close. So this idea that teams are not going to be in this position again is a fallacy, because 5 of the 7 years he's been here, teams have either pushed them right close to the title or beaten him to it. Do you know what I'm saying? So that's a lie, actually. It's 6 years, because the first year he was here, he wasn't even in the title race. So, like, out of 7 years that he's been here, well, this would be the 8th year. So 8 years he's been here. In 6 of them, other people have either won the title or pushed him close. So this notion that you won't be in this position in a year's time, I think's wrong. But for you, Liverpool and Arsenal, I think it's. Do you get where I'm coming from? I think that is, the media say that a lot, and everyone says it all the time. But in reality, it's not true. And when you
have a chance to win right now, with City defensively is factually weaker than last season. Factually, the way they've been conceding goals, they factually look worse than last season. Now, all I'm saying is, okay, with the games coming thick and fast now, and from now until May with the Champions League and stuff, there is a crystal clear opportunity here for a league title to be won. How do you win this league title if you have a missing piece? Sign said missing piece. Now, I'm not saying if you sign a striker, Arsenal are guaranteed to win a trophy. I'm not saying any of that. I'm just saying it puts them in a much better position in the short term, right here, right now, to win a Premier League trophy, because there's a title to be won. Because City aren't as, if I'm speaking from Arsenal perspective, City aren't as convincing, and Liverpool themselves have missing pieces. So if I go get my missing piece, I just put myself in a better position to win the league. Why not?
Listen, I understand that, and I'm not saying you guys shouldn't go out and do it. I just don't believe in the notion that if Liverpool don't win it this year, there's no chance next year. I don't believe in that, because I don't think there's a huge, barring a couple of seasons where you guys fell off a bit, I don't think there's a huge difference between Liverpool and City over the last 5 to 6 years. They've been better than you, but they haven't been exponentially better than you. You know, they've beat you to a few titles by a point or two. Do you know what I'm saying? And it's, I wouldn't necessarily say that they're here and you're right down there. So I think the gap's a lot closer than sometimes people make it out to be. But Arsenal have got to go out. Look, I understand the Solanke conversation. They need better than that still, in my personal opinion. They need to go and get an Ivan Toney, or they need someone like an Osherman. And if it's not a number 9 they buy, it has to be someone who's a forward who scores lots of goals. It has to be someone that's going to, between the, say they sign him at the end of January, in those last 4 months, it's got to be someone who comes in and scores in the league 12 to 13 goals. It's got to be somebody that, one of the things I saw him doing yesterday, Arsenal, that just as a football fan watching, it was driving me nuts. Nobody was running into the box. Watch Tottenham play. There's always 3, 4, 5 runners into the box. I'm watching Arsenal, just thinking to myself, they're mad. And someone here says, is this AFTV? Now, if you'd have watched the first 30 minutes, 35 minutes of the show, which is less than half, we spoke about Man United, we spoke about Tottenham, we're now speaking Arsenal and Liverpool. So, no, it isn't, bro. And that's a little bit of dead banter from you, but try harder, please. So, yeah, but Jesus dropped deep. Listen, again, that's not... Jesus does drop... What Jesus does for Arsenal is important. That's not... Again, it's your club. You say what you want about it. But don't throw baby out with the bathwater. Gabriel Jesus is an asset, and he's one of the components that's made you a team that's competing for titles. But it doesn't mean you don't need more. It doesn't mean sell him. He's crap. This balance is needed. You know, Firmino by himself wouldn't have been good enough to help Liverpool win a Prem. But you throw in a Mane and a Salah either side of him, which is the order of which it happened, they became one of the most formidable front threes in Premier League history. It's about the combination.
Firmino as well is a lot better than Jesus. I'm sorry, he is.
No, and that's a fair
Even
point.
Even in goals, because he had like 15 goals, I swear, this season we won the league, or 14, 13 goals. I don't think Jesus has ever had that in a Premier League season to begin with.
No, and I'm not suggesting he's as good as him. I'm just stating the point that just because you're not the most prolific, it doesn't mean you're not a component of a very well-oiled machine and a good team. But they just need they need more. They need more than him. You know, I actually think an Ivan Toney with a Gabriel Jesus behind him in certain games would be electric, because then he can do the things he's great at and help facilitate for someone that wants to score those goals. You know, I really do. Like Jesus playing like just someone who can put ball in the back of the net. You know, I look at someone like, he's not available, but I look at like Alexander Isak. I look at Callum Wilson. Both of them, I think they score on average one goal every 2 games for Newcastle. That's a good return. If you have a striker like that in front of someone like a Jesus, get the ball into the box early, thread those through balls. It is not inconceivable. It is not inconceivable at all that somebody like that can help you from the position you're in now, help strike you to a Premier League. You don't always have to have the most prolific striker in the world. But ironically, Man United's most prolific.
At the same time, Martinelli is scoring 2 goals in 15. That's why you need the prolific striker.
No. So you need more goals, but it's the combination. Man United, our most prolific number 9 we ever had in the Premier League era was Van Nistelrooy. But in the 4 years he was with us, we won 1 Premier League title. Up until Ronaldo started scoring lots of goals in 2007. Prior to that, we had a lot of strikers that would bang in between 10 and 20 league goals per season. Never the most prolific in the league, but as a collective and as a component of a team, that we were the best. You had Henry that were nearly always outscoring our players. You know, there was always lots of strikers that scored more than ours, or 5, 6, 7 more goals than ours. But as a component and as a team, we were better. Terry, extra goals don't equate to extra points. Again, as a general...
Oh my God, what are you watching, Twisted? Even for my own club this season, had we had extra goals, we would have beaten Luton, we would have beaten Brighton, we would have beaten Man United. We would have been 15 points ahead of Arsenal at top of the league right now. Talking about extra goals, don't wait. That's such dumb, idiotic, stupid logic, bro. I said, listen, defense wins you titles, but attack wins you games too. You need an attack to put the ball in the back of the net. Because I once again, I keep the same energy for my own club. When Salah does have the bad game, are the others stepping up? And the answer to that is no. So it's the same thing with Saka, with your club. Right now, Jesus and Mo Salah has more goals. than Jesus, Saka, Nketiah, all of them combined. Do you understand how bad it is for Arsenal? That's why they need a forward. It's so obvious to see, man. So obvious. And if we
Yeah,
can
look,
see it, then Arteta should.
yeah. In the vacuum of talking about Arsenal, I think extra goals, so not somebody replacing the goals that are already scoring, extra goals will equate to extra points. It doesn't mean every team scoring more goals gets more points, because if you're a team that's almost getting maximum points and you add more goals, you might be adding a third goal to a 2-0 win. That's not getting you extra points. But if you're a team that's not picking up as many points as you could, adding extra goals to turn more draws into wins and more defeats into wins will do that. And you know that, Twisted. But again, you tried three times, twice you've tried today. You've tried today. Not quite worked for you yet, bro. But good try. Terry loves Arsenal more than United. Again, dead banter. Nowhere near true. Yawn, yawn, yawn. Boring, boring, boring. Boring, boring, boring. Like me not slagging Arsenal off when there's nothing to slag them off about. And by the way, I've criticized them heavily for last night's performance. That seems to go over your head. I know it's because you hate them so much that you take it out on me. Very, very strange.
Last 15 minutes, we've been shitting on Arsenal for not scoring goals. Literally.
But that's me loving them. I had people today call me out on Twitter. They were like, where were your Liverpool robbed videos when they didn't get a penalty against Arsenal? I sent them screenshots of the videos I've done. They were like, oh, right. Don't comment about my content unless you've watched it all. That's my general rule. Like, because 9 times out of 10, you make yourself look like a silly Billy if you don't watch things. But you said that you now think City are the favourites to win the title. What
Yes.
about Liverpool though? Because you are top, you're winning games. You have got a tough game Monday against Newcastle. Are you starting to feel confident that Arsenal, you'll now finish in front of Arsenal and maybe pip City to this title?
Nope. This Premier League will be won in this January transfer window. Simple as. And this is, I haven't changed my mind on it. As a matter of fact, watching the Liverpool-Arsenal game, after that game, I think now City are going to win the league. The reason why I think that is I don't think Liverpool or Arsenal have enough killers in the team. I think for us, we have Mo Salah, obviously. But other than that, our forward line ain't really been banging. I know people who say Jota, but Jota himself hasn't been on it this season, and he's just back from injury, and he does have an injury in him. I think now I can live with Endo and McAllister playing the DM as long as we get a centre back and a forward. I think Liverpool need a forward now as well, because we need someone to put the ball in the back of the net when obviously Salah's gone to AFCON. We need someone to do that. And we need a centre back as well, because for me, Matip is out till the end of the season. And Konate is an injury waiting to happen. And listen, I know what people will say. People will call me every name under the sun, and then come May time, they'll just be repeating the same shit I say. It's just like all the time with all the Liverpool content creators. I'm not trying to be the league gunner. I'm not trying to be Terry. I'm not trying to be anyone. I'm myself. I look at my club and I analyze realistically and objectively. Konate is an injury waiting to happen. And Matip's out at the end of the season, which means we have to rely on Kwanzaa. Kwanzaa is very good. Yeah, he was very good against Burnley. But at the same time, you cannot rely on him in a title race. So for me, I don't think Liverpool can win the league without signing players this January. And it's the same for my own club. It's the same energy. Like, if Mo Salah's not banging, who else is banging in our front line? That's the problem. The centre back situation is an issue as well. Currently, with Robertson out, we're going to be playing Gomez left back. So, like, the centre back situation as well is a little bit iffy. That's why I've been linked with Inacio lately. So for me, it's just like a centre back and a forward. If we sign those two positions, we will win the league. And other than that, we're just gonna be a Europa League team, win the Europa League, win the Carabao Cup, and call it quits, which I don't think is good enough, of course, for a club the size of Liverpool with the players that we do have. But I watch Manchester City, and they have killers. KDB is a killer. Haaland is a killer. Alvarez is a little baby killer right there. Like he's a smaller version of a KDB and of a Haaland. So he's a baby version of them both. And then you have someone like Bernardo Silva, who's been there, done that. Players like that who have done all that could take them over the line, to be honest with you. But I just there's a couple of players in my club currently that I don't trust. Diaz don't trust. Nunes don't trust. Gakpo don't trust. Our midfield is a little bit iffy. Centre back situation is a problem. So yeah, if we sign Ivan Toney and a centre back, we win the league. You know, we need players like that.
Yeah, no, I understand you. I understand you on that. When you said baby killer, by the way, like I don't know about where baby killer where we're from means you're not a very nice person.
Oh shit! No, guys, I meant like a baby version of Haaland, you
Yes.
guys.
We knew what you meant. It was just the way you said it. You were like, yeah, and Alvarez is a baby killer. I was like, what's he done? What's he done?
Oh, that sounds so wrong now. That sounds so wrong. Shit. Shit, that sounds
We
so
knew
wrong.
what you meant. We knew what you meant in reality. This here from caller some super chats here says Husam Diaz is the most overrated centre back, but I get you talking about Romero. Diaz or Romero? Who do you think is the most overrated of the two?
Romero is more overrated. But Diaz is overrated too, but I think Romero is more overrated. Romero's in conversations he doesn't belong in. I'm so sorry. Like
if we don't win the league or Champions League, I want Arteta out, is what Muran has got to say here. I think it's a fair point. 20 says this game was a bad loss. It happens, but our next 10 games, I need results. We have the easiest run of fixtures amongst the top teams.
Do you have the easiest 10 fixtures? What the hell?
I haven't looked at that. I don't know their 10 fixtures.
Arsenal. So their next 10 fixtures. I swear you play us. How are you talking about it's easy? 1 second.
In the Prem. Oh no, I think again you do. They do play in the Prem. Yeah.
So Fulham away, Palace at home, Forest away, Liverpool at home, West Ham away, Burnley away, Newcastle at home, Sheffield away. That ain't an easy run. Because you got Newcastle as a test, West Ham away is a test, Liverpool at home is a test, Forest away is a test, and Palace and Fulham, you might drop points in one of them. So that's not easy. But you keep saying it happens. My thing is, Twinny, it's not about it happening. I'm more interested in how it happens. What did I just say about my own club? Because sometimes people get emotional. Look at what I just said about my own club, Twinny. When Terry asked me about Liverpool winning the league, what did I say? We can't win it because we don't have enough killers in front of goal. The games that we dropped points in this season, Luton, Brighton, Manchester United, etc., it's the same shit. It's the same thing that I just described. There is a lack of us putting the ball in the back of the net consistently, not by one player the whole time. That's the thing. So yeah.
Debbie here says, if we are saying Arteta should be sacked, then Ten Hag and Pot should be sacked. Well, of course, all three scenarios are different. So you can't judge them all in a monolithic way. Potter's situation is different from both of theirs.
Pot shouldn't be sacked, told people.
Ten Hag, there's a huge argument for him to be sacked, even right now. Absolutely, because he hasn't got a team in the title race. So, yes, but again, as a general rule, you can't judge every single manager in exactly the same way. You have to look at the bespoke details of their current situation, their club, when they took over, how much money has been invested, etc., where they are in the league. All these things matter, Debbie. Not even linked with him, but Rafael Leao is the dream.
Rafael Leao is not what you need. It's not what you need at all. You need a forward who can put the ball in the back of the net consistently. And Leao ain't really that, by the way. Leao is not someone who can score goals consistently. Leao is more of a creative guy. You need a goal scoring machine. That's what you need, to be honest with you. So Osimhen Loki as well makes sense for Arsenal. Just a goal scoring machine right there. You need that.
I see this name come up a lot. Santiago Jimenez, obviously the Mexican striker who plays for Feyenoord.
No?
I think he's at Feyenoord. I think it's Feyenoord he's at. I know it's got a lot of goals. The only thing I'm skeptical of, the amount of top high-level goal scorers in the Eredivisie that have not made it in the Prem is ridiculous. There's some that have, but there's so many that score lots of goals in that league. Look at Gakpo. He's the highest goal scorer in Europe in the Eredivisie. Joins Liverpool.
He's done 18 goals in 16 games in the Eredivisie.
Yeah, crazy numbers there. But I would still go for Ivan Toney over him if I was picking.
Let me ask you a question. Isn't Santiago Jimenez the same name of the guy that was on Goal, the movie?
Let's check. Goal, the movie. Let's check. I have seen that film, not for years, though. His name was cast. No, his name was Santiago Nunez or Munez or something. Munez or something like that. Yeah.
Muniz. No, Muniz,
Munez.
not
Munez. Yeah. That's a good.
that was like that's a story as well because he was Mexican in the movie. I swear, as well. No, he was
I haven't
Mexican.
even seen that man in a film since then, bro. Oh yeah, he ain't done that.
Santiago Muniz to come in there and win Arsenal the league.
There was a goal 2 and a goal 3. I didn't even know they made sequels to that film.
Hey, I never knew that either.
Damn, I didn't even know they did that. But yeah, so I would still go. Terry, are Arsenal still scary? Yes. Terry, you hype up Arsenal, now look at you, nothing to say in the mud. Well, I hyped them up to finish second, and they're currently in second. So nothing has changed in terms of my opinion on Arsenal. I didn't predict them to win the Champions League. There's nothing for me to feel bad about.
Chelsea fans bitching about people hyping Arsenal. It's always the same fan base.
But I get it all the time.
Like, you spent 1 billion on your 10th. You're the biggest modern day embarrassment in football history.
It's funny, right? Because last season I predicted them to become title contenders. End of the season, it was like, you got it wrong. I said, well, I got my revised opinion wrong in February that I think they might go on to win the league from here. But my beginning opinion of I think they'll become title contenders was true. This season, I said they'll come second, and all I get told is, they're not winning the league. I'm like, I never said they were. Like I don't really get it. Arsenal fans cry about Outters once you start talking the truth about your team. Look, I think this. Yeah. I look at it this way. Some of the things Arteta Outters say is true. Some of the things they say are wrong. I agree with you. Like, for me, that's why we have a complete contrast of people that come on and speak, because I want to hear different opinions. I want to hear them challenged. It's not an echo chamber in that way. So, it's like standards FC. I agree with a lot of the standards some of them hold for their clubs. I just don't agree that you can apply those same standards to every club at every minute and every moment of every single season, because life doesn't work that way. So that's what I disagree with them on. 2 of my favorite folks, much love, bros. Thank you, my friend. I appreciate that from you a lot. Let's have a look at some more of these comments that have come through here. Terry, you are still sucking off Arsenal. Yeah, that's what I'm doing by slagging them off today or criticizing them. That's exactly it, bruv. At the same time as he's a City fan and he hears me say regularly that the City are the best team in the world. I don't know what to say.
Fans are so boring, man. So boring.
Same thing. What's your reaction to Barca signing Victor? Victor who? Osimhen.
Victor who? Osimhen?
Are they? I ain't heard that.
City, Barca signing Victor. Victor who? You just say Victor?
Don't know.
Pau Victor? Vitor Roque? Yeah, I don't know who you're talking about. Vitor Roque, the Brazilian talent, maybe. Not Victor Moses, of course not. Vitor Roque, some hyped wonder kid. Barca and Madrid are going early now. Same thing with Endrick and Real Madrid on these young superstars.
Yeah, you got to. They've got to.
They're like, instead of us letting Brighton buy them and then having to pay 100 million, might as well just pay the 5 mil now and just keep it stepping type thing.
This is what I get a lot as well. That's the issue, Terry. You make so many Arsenal vids and transfer vids. Well, in terms of Arsenal leading on the headline of my last 20 videos, Arsenal have been the lead in 3 of them. Man United in 4 of them. Liverpool in 4 of them. Chelsea in 3 of them. Spurs in 2 of them. The others are at 1s. So you're just wrong. What it is, this is what happens, David, and I respect you, is you see it about Arsenal and it triggers you so you remember it. Because the amount of people that have said to me this week, I didn't see you talk once about Liverpool's penalty decision against Arsenal, spoke about it in the match reaction, and I've done independent videos on it. The difference is you don't watch them. You tune into the Arsenal videos to say, why another Arsenal video? But I never see you commenting on the non-Arsenal videos. That's on you. That's on you. It's not my fault. Someone said that's a lie, so I can go through it. Okay, so this video, yes, it is. The match reaction last night was, absolutely. Before that, Chelsea's big win. Before that, Haaland's first Prem goal. Before that, Liverpool go top. Before that, crisis continues. Chelsea lose again. Before that, Liverpool robbed. Before that, our Tottenham back in the title race. It was obviously sarcastic. Before that, Ten Hag getting sacked. Before that, the Super League getting backed. Before that, do Arsenal scare Liverpool? Before that, Liverpool destroy West Ham. Before that, Greenwood back at United. Before that, Mudryk saves Chelsea. Before that, Dan Ashworth to Man United. Before that, Arsenal go clear. Before that, Champions League draw. Before that, Liverpool bottle top spot. Before that, Arsenal go top. And in fairness, that's an Arsenal match reaction. Before that, City bottle it. Before that, Tottenham win again. Before that, Liverpool destroy Man United. Before that, lackluster Liverpool lose. Before that, Newcastle out. Before that, Man United out, disaster. Before that, Nketiah scores the winner. And the one before that was Arteta versus Emery. So there are some Arsenal ones in there. But to sit there and act like it's all I talk about is a lie. You know, it's you just.
And Audrey will disappear now from the chat. It's not like he or she. I don't know, because Audrey could be a female name as well. I don't know if you'll come up here now and go like, yeah, my bad, Terry. You just proved me wrong. You won't say that, of course. Go on.
No.
Because I get the same stuff when I prove people wrong as well. They just disappear after you prove them wrong. That's what it is.
Of course, 110%. It's, you know, it's just
We've
crazy.
criticized Arsenal for the last 20 minutes how they won't win the league unless they sign a striker, and we're talking about Saka playing like shit. So this is what we said. We said Saka played like shit. We said Martinelli played like shit. Zinchenko cannot defend, and it's been proven this season. Rice had one of his worst games. We only praised Odegaard from the team. We said if Arteta doesn't win the league, then he deserves criticism, or if he doesn't win a trophy in general, not the league.
This is it, though. This is it. This is the one. This is the pièce de résistance. But the Arsenal ones are never negative. Well, it was negative last night, and this one's negative if you want to call it that. The difference is that Arsenal have been pretty good this last 12 months, 18 months. Therefore, there's less negative videos. Go back and look at the Arsenal videos from 2 seasons, 3 seasons, 4 seasons ago. Equally, when Liverpool were the best team in the world and winning nearly all their games, why would I be putting out negative Liverpool videos when their performances are good? Like most Man City videos are positive, barring the cheat allegations, because they win most games. But when they won only 1 game in 6, I wasn't positive about them in those videos because they won 1 game in 6. It's not that it's an agenda. It's a reflection of how can I do more positive videos about Chelsea right now than Arsenal? How? How can I do more? How can I do
Chelsea are the biggest modern day embarrassment?
How can I do more positive videos about Man United right now than Liverpool? Even as a club I love, how can I when Man United are where we are and Liverpool are where they are? It's impossible. Stop being babies. My word. Just get on with the show. We literally are getting on with the show. We're talking to our audience. That's what we're here to do. Yeah.
Can we talk about the biggest modern day embarrassment beating Crystal Palace? No Enzo, Chelsea win. You get me? Coincidence? I think not. Broha's the West striker in the league.
Chelsea. Do you think Chelsea win this weekend? A tough game away to Fulham?
No, they won't win this weekend.
No, that's Arsenal. No. They're away to Luton.
By the way, Fulham for Arsenal, just before we move on, I think Fulham are the weirdest team in this whole league. How the fuck do you beat West Ham 5-0? And then I swear they lost to Sheffield, no, or some shit.
They lost
Luton
3
are
bounce
so
now.
weird. Yeah, Luton are so weird. Like it just makes no sense. So it depends which Fulham turn up to play Arsenal. To be honest with you, with Luton, nope. Tomorrow it's gonna end in a draw. Chelsea are not beating Luton. Also, Chelsea are not creeping up anywhere net weed. I don't know what weed you're smoking. They're 10th. They're literally on level on points with Palace and Bournemouth. Bournemouth were one of the contenders for relegation. I apologize to Chelsea fans for one thing. For having to watch Broha week in, week out. I apologize. I don't know how that genuinely feels like having to stick pins in your eyeballs. That's how crap he is, that guy right there. I've never seen a shitter player play for Chelsea my whole life. I think Jackson gets unfair criticism. I think he's not as bad as people make out. I think he became a meme at the start of the season. Gallagher gets too much unnecessary hate, in my opinion. I think he just does a job for them. But this is exactly why I will look at every Poch outer in the face and tell them you're wrong. I don't think it's a Poch situation. Chelsea yesterday, in my opinion, created a 4-1 game. But their forward line is so dreadful and it stinks so badly that they just cannot score multiple goals in a football game. That's their biggest problem right now. They cannot get goal after goal after goal after goal. And that's the issue. And I think Chelsea had they signed Vlahovic this summer, would have been in a considerably better position right now. Now, what I will say is, any player looking at this Chelsea team, whether it be Osimhen, Toney, or whoever, if you decide to go to Chelsea right now, you're essentially signing a death wish on your contract, because for the next 3-4 years, Chelsea are just going to improve step by step gradually. Like, it's going to be 10th to 8th to 6th to 4th to something like it's going to be a step by step thing, because the average age is 13 of the team. So with Chelsea Football Club, I just think tomorrow it just has a draw written all over it. Luton Town. I've been one of the few content creators who actually have respected Luton Town all year long. I said they're being grouped with Sheffield and Burnley incorrectly. I've never watched Luton and went like they haven't fought on the pitch. They fight. Terry was talking about it for his own club. Luton always fight on the pitch. They're not one of the clubs who just lay down and go like, beat me. No. They will always fight at the last second. And I think tomorrow has a draw written all over it. Luton just beat Newcastle as well. And I think they draw the game. So for me, Chelsea are going to draw tomorrow. And then the Chelsea fans will come back again and tell you, potch out, get in Mourinho. Even though the average age is 13, like Mourinho would even work with these youngsters. So, yeah.
Mate, listen, I'm excited about that game, to be fair. I'm really excited about it. Afternoon, Terry. Fans don't understand you cover the top 6. You have to cover each team equal. That's why this show is different to other fan channels. It's why, listen, I don't mean this as a dig at anybody. I find it's why the amount of people since the Football Terrace has launched that now cover more than one channel on their channel, why they do multi-club panel shows. Like, we were the first to do any of this sort of stuff, and it is what it is. But as times change, if Arsenal become a bad club again and suddenly Spurs become title winners, you'll see me say better things about Spurs than you do Arsenal. It's just the way it is. And Terry Tibbs here also says, big up Husam. Don't worry about them, Terry. You support a different Prem team each week. I've been here since 30k subs. One thing, the Terrace is consistent. Yeah, if you've been here, the older viewers that have been here longer, that remember me praising Liverpool when they were good and slagging Arsenal off when they were bad, and praising City under Pep when they first became good, they don't see me praising Arsenal now they're becoming better again as weird, because they've seen me do it to other teams before. And when there's another shift in the balance of the current power in the league, they'll see it again. It's just being consistently non-biased. But it hurts people because for the first time, a team multiple clubs hate is doing well. In La Liga, who is going to get...
talking about other clubs from like 5 years ago. I thought other people invented that. My bad.
No. The Football Terrace was one of the first of its kind, I think. In La Liga, who is going to get the sack first? My money is on Xavi. I hate to say it. I don't watch it closely enough to know. I'll be honest with you. I watch games. I don't follow the league. But Xavi, well, it ain't going to be Ancelotti. They're offering him a new deal, which will be interesting if he doesn't win the league again, because it goes against what Standard FC Real Madrid do. If he don't win the league, he gets sacked. That could be 2 years with no league title, one of them being lost to Girona, and he could keep his job. I think they need a protest. I think they need a protest. Listen, I want to thank everybody for joining in. I really do appreciate it. We're live at 6 p.m. for the Top 6 show, so make sure you're back with us then. We're going to redirect you to that show now so you don't miss it. Husam, always a pleasure to speak. Until next time, people, take care. Goodbye. God bless. And we'll see you all again soon. Peace.